everyone says the same thing. They say you'll change when you hit rock bottom. When you lose enough money, you're going to quit gambling. That pain will wake you up. Look, that's a lie, a big lie. Rock bottom didn't change me. It actually made me worse. I didn't stop gambling. Instead, I got smarter at hiding it. You know, I didn't start telling the truth. I became a better liar. And that's the part that nobody tells you about. You see, rock bottom isn't a wake up call. Let me tell you what rock bottom actually felt like. It wasn't clarity. It wasn't some dramatic movie moment where I looked in the mirror and said, "This ends today." No, it wasn't like that at all. It was shame, it was panic, it was pain. It was the fear of being exposed. I'm not sure if you get me. And instead of stopping, I gambled to escape that feeling of hitting rock bottom because I was already at the bottom. So I didn't want it to feel evident. So I went back to gambling over and over again, hoping to numb that feeling. I went back to gambling over and over again, trying by all means to hide away from all the effects of rock bottom that were so evident all around me. I gambled even more, trying to escape the feeling of hitting rock bottom. And that was the trap right there. You see, when you dip into gambling addiction, pain doesn't wake you up. Instead, that pain pushes you back to that anesthetic. It pushes you back to that one thing that numbs it. And you remember that online gambling was like my anesthetic. So, my feeling the pain, my experiencing the downfall, losing money, losing my small business, that made me to require the anesthetic even more. Now, this is the ugly truth about us addicts. I know if you're watching this and you're addicted to gambling, you can relate to this. You see, here's the uncomfortable truth about this. See, rock bottom doesn't create change. Instead, it creates survival mode. And survival mode of an addict looks like borrowing money under false pretense, calling people on the contact list to lie in order to solicit more money. Survival mode for a gambling addict means that having to contact a few people and cry tears, fake some stories, fake some emergencies. At some stage, I would contact people and tell them that my late mom just passed away, and this was in 2023. And remember, she passed away in 2015. So whenever I was desperate for money, I would spin that story again and again, and I would make it feel and sound like it's something that just happened. Well, I'm not proud of it, but I'm merely just trying to highlight that survival mode for a gambling addict means swearing to yourself that this is the last time, I'm not going to do it again. But then you find yourself doing it again and again and again. Basically, for a gambling addict, survival mode means falling deeper and deeper and spiraling downward into the gambling cycle. Survival mode for a gambling addict means that gambling even more and more and winning just a little bit to believe that you're still in control and losing it again, lying again, promising again. Look, I didn't hit rock bottom and transform. Rock bottom didn't transform me. I hit rock bottom and then I started negotiating with it. You know, just one more win and I'll fix everything. And that happened. I went on and on and on until things were so bad for me. Survival mode is actually the worst. I hit rock bottom and I kept on negotiating with it. Like, just one more bet and I'll fix everything. I promise you, this big win will be big enough for me to fix each and everything. I kept on negotiating with it in that way. And you see, that sentence where I mentioned that Just one more big win, big enough, will fix everything. You see, that sentence right there nearly destroyed my life. Well, let me tell you the reason why rock bottom just isn't enough. People think that consequences cure the addiction. People think that the more the gambling addict sees the trouble, the pain, the shame that they're in, they will change. No, when it comes to online gambling, it's just not the case. If consequences worked, I would have stopped the first time I lost big money. Yes. So the consequences do not work. I lost big money. I disappointed a lot of people. I owed a whole lot of people and I destroyed so many opportunities for myself. But those consequences didn't make me stop. I was unstoppable. Not in a good way, but my addiction, especially online gambling addiction, it was in full swing. You see, if consequences worked, I wouldn't have spent a lot of sleepless nights being anxious, crying tears, wetting up my pillow each night. You know, if consequences worked, I wouldn't have been in all the painful situations that I was in because of my gambling addiction. You see, addiction doesn't respond to logic, addiction responds to relief. And at that time, online gambling was like my anesthetic of some sort. It gave me the relief that I sought after. And, you know, even while it was ruining me, I still felt so relieved while I was placing those bets. And that's insanity. I know if you're watching this video so far, you can relate to this deeply. It's insanity. Well, rock bottom didn't change me, but getting tired of being someone that I didn't recognize changed me. Like I told you in my previous videos, I had become someone that I couldn't even recognize, and it was so bad for me. So rock bottom was just about circumstances, but change is about identity. So I had to admit something so deep to myself. I had to admit that I had lost something deeper than losing money. I had to admit that I enjoyed the chaos. I liked the rush, and I like believing that one spin could fix my life, and the moment I realized that, that was when I was able to experience the real turning point. I had to admit that honesty hurt more than the losses, but that's when the change started, you know, because being truthful to myself and calling myself out to say that, look, you've changed. Sis, you are no longer the person that you are supposed to be. You have changed. So it took my courage to see the truth and tell myself the truth that, look, sis, you've changed. Nah, this is not you. This is not the real you, and I think that helped me a lot. Change didn't start at rock bottom. Change started at self confrontation. The moment I was bold enough to confront myself and say, hey, sis, I don't like what you're doing. I don't like the cycle. I want you out of here. That was self confrontation. And that's what helped, not rock bottom. So if you're watching this and you're still gambling and you're waiting to hit rock bottom in order for you to change, I've got news for you. You might wait forever. You might wait for a very, very long time because addicts can survive in rock bottom. We adapt to it, we normalize it, we make it a way of life, we live there. Change doesn't happen when you lose everything. It happens when you stop lying to yourself. It happens when you do that self confrontation. Rock bottom didn't save me. Taking responsibility was what saved me. So if you're in it right now and you think that the day you hit rock bottom is the day that you'll finally wake up, no, rock bottom's not going to wake you up. You just need to be honest. Before life forces you to be honest, you just need to be honest with yourself. Just ask yourself these few questions. How is my gambling addiction contributing to my livelihood? Is it good for me? How's my financial state at the moment? Have I been lying to others to get money? And so on. Well, you know the problems that you're going through. I'm just merely relating to you the stuff that I have gone through. So if you think that one more loss will finally wake you up, well, you can take your time, because there's really no rush. And nobody rushed me to get to the self realization and the self introspection and the decision to say that, look, gambling is bad for me. I'm cutting all ties. So you can take your time, but it's better to be honest now before life forces you to be honest. And if this sounds like I'm talking to you, I probably am, you know? So subscribe to this channel. See, this channel isn't about pretending that recovery is pretty. I'm not here trying to be a guru, trying to bully you into doing what you won't want to do, But you know that quitting gambling is worth it. It is something that's going to help you in the long run. Cutting all ties and getting out of that gambling cycle, it really helps you. You can agree with me that your continued gambling has been bringing you a whole lot of problems and you're finding it very hard to let go. But look, there's hope. Subscribe to this final chance. This is my final chance. It can as well be your final chance. Let us take this final chance together. Let us take this final chance and realize that there's no winning in gambling. There's never been and never will be. There's just no winning in gambling. Only the house wins. So, this channel, My Final Chance, is about telling the truth that most people are too ashamed to say out loud. This is my final chance, and maybe it can be yours too if you want. No, click like and subscribe. Share this video with someone that you feel it might help them. Thank you so much for watching. Cheers. I will catch you on the next video. Love you back.